Hi, this is my AG test clipper. It's stuttering in speed every once in a while. Probably just something dirty in the brushes. So let's take it apart and just clean everything out and make sure it works good. Okay. It is plugged in, so be careful. That will shock you if you touch it. There's the spinning the motor. Seems to run fine. I can smell a little burntness in it. But anyway, let's get started. First I get my armature cleaning stick, so it gets the residue off the armature. See right there? See, now it's all clean. See, it's nice and clean. You don't want it to get oil down in there, or you'll short the armature out and it'll melt the wires and then it won't work correctly. You'll have a dead spot in the armature. I can make sure this armature's good, like if the switch was bad or something. I made this little DC. This DC is basically battery. AC is electricity. So you can do this. See how it moves? It's because these are DC. So this PC board right there, that's the fuse. That's the 2-speed, and right in there's these little bitty diodes that convert it from AC to DC. So right here it'll shock you, but right here it won't. Don't try it, because if it does shock you, it's not my problem. I didn't tell you to touch it, but it never shocks me. But I also don't stand in water, so maybe that's a problem. I don't know. Alright, so let's just take it apart and get all the liquids out of there, because I use this clipper to test blades. So I dip it in H42 oil, and that's probably not good for it since you don't want your motor wet, but it's just the easiest way for me to check blades and make sure they're good. So what I'm doing is I'm going to take off the drive. I took off the hinge already. This is the drive. It drives the blade. I'll show you some stuff about it in just a second. Okay. This is your drive. If these metal, if the metal is bent out, or there's any play in this, then you'll need to replace this. Now, see this bearing? We'll pop this off. Okay, see this bearing? See how it doesn't wobble? Well, yeah, I would probably replace that, because what happens is when this is wobbly like that, then the drive doesn't travel all the way. So it doesn't use your blade to its full advantage. So that's called the cam. That's what drives it. So you could have a brand new lever on and have a bad cam, or a brand new drive and have a bad cam, and it'll still act like it's a bad drive when it's really the cam. So always check this, because if you replace the drive and this is bad, it's not going to work correctly. Now, if this is good and your drive is bad, it still won't work correctly. This needs to be on here and get full travel. Full travel. Alright, well, let's bust down the motor here. Undo the power. There. So this is basically an Andis AG motor. AGC is pretty similar. It just has this switch right here, and then has wires come out of the housing that go onto the switch. So this has the switch wires going into the side of the brushes. So they made that a little better on the AGC. The rear motor frame is different, the front motor frame is different. The hinge and latch are different, but not on this one because this is a newer AGC or AG 2-speed. So it does have a latch. Oh, sorry, I keep going the wrong way. You want to check your hinge. See, it doesn't come up at all, so that's good. If you can't lift it at all, that's good. If you can lift this, you need to replace this, because that means it's too weak, and what's going to happen is the blade will be on it, and then it's going to pop up. And always make sure that latch is not broken either. See, that's what latches the blade down. So it goes like that, and then if the latch is broken, it'll lift up like that. And if it's lifting up, the drive is right here, and it's not going to come out here and get the blade. It's just going to stop working. So you want a good hinge, you want a good drive, and you want a steady motor. Alright, well, let's get into this a little more. So we'll get a flathead screwdriver, pop these clips off that hold the motor together, and you can see it's all liquidy, and that's bad, but I repair them, and that is not good when there's liquid in it. Here's the armature. It's what spins the clipper, moves the lever. It spins and moves the lever with an off shape bearing here. Not off shape, off the axis, so it moves the drive back and forth. Alright, so now that's pretty clean. This is pretty dirty, so let me blow it out. Alright, and it's always good to check your brushes, so we'll just go ahead and take those off. You can see them from the inside, but I'll just show y'all how to do it in case you want to do it. I recommend being able to change your own drive, but if you can't, I do it, and it will be good. So you pop these brushes out. There's one. There's two. Okay, that's the end motor frame. Make sure your seal is back there or your bearing housing, because if not, it will rattle, and you won't like it, and it's not going to cut very good. And this is bad. This was the problem. It wasn't because it was liquid, but if you see the brush spring, it's bent. So it wasn't pushing the brush all the way to the armature. So that's where I got the speed alternation. I thought it was liquid, but I'm wrong, because I see the spring is messed up, and that would relate to that same kind of problem. Let me get a rag or a napkin to clean these brushes off. You want your brushes to be clean, because if they have residue on them, then they can get caught in the brush housing, and it'll make your clipper stop running or make it stutter, and it probably not even armature. You just have to replace your brushes. Okay, these brushes have little this stupid camera. See that? See how it's rounded? That means this needs to go in like that on the armature, because the armature is rounded. So basically, I'll show you how to do that in just 1 second. Let's put the armature back in. Make sure your top seal's on there or it will be really noisy. Put your magnet on. Line the notches up. So there's the notch. Line these notches up. And then you put these clips back on to hold the motor together. The dry back on, if it's good, which mine is good enough to test blades, so I'll leave it. I recommend replacing those depending on if you do 5 to 10 dogs a day. I would replace it every 3 months. If you do 15 dogs a day, I'd replace it every month, because you're really gonna be doing a lot of dogs. I've seen some people wait up to a year to be even servicing, but you don't save any money because eventually this is going to get corroded with brush carbon. So it could start shorting out. So if you don't ever get it serviced, this is going to get real dirty in here. And that's bad. You always want your clipper to run top speed or the speed you like, because you don't want to have to go over the dog 2 times or 3 times, or the person, edging them up, whatever you do for business. So I clean this other brush off. Then we'll put the brushes back in. Okay, see that? So, see how this is round? That's how the armature is too. So you want to meet this brush up to make it see the little roundness. So you want to put it in here with the roundness facing the armature, because you put these in wrong, they will get stuck, and then you'll have to pay me for a service to get it out, because I have to take it all the way apart and remove the brush without the armature in it. So make sure you put brushes in right. They always have a little pattern. If they're hard to get in, then you're putting it in wrong. If it goes in easy and still doesn't run, you might have a messed up spring, switch, maybe a dead spot in the armature, or you could just have a bad brush, or maybe just a cleaning. Stretch these springs out a little bit so they make sure to make contact. So basically what brushes do is they let the electrical current go to the armature instead of having a wire straight to the armature, which they could do, but it would wear out, and then it's a lot easier just to replace carbon brushes because electricity travels pretty good through them. And they're pretty hard. So that's basically putting the motor back together. So you put this here. Right now I would recommend to test your clipper, but I'm just trying to make a video and I'll test it at the end because I know it's already put together right. So I probably worked on over 1,000 of these. Yeah, this is my test clipper. It's not the best of parts, but they are all good. But if you send your clipper in, I would probably recommend replacing the drive every time, just because it's a $5 piece, and it's very important that your clipper is traveling all the way correctly. If you have a problem with the switch only going into one speed, usually it's because there's hair in there. Blow it out, and then it will allow this to slide all the way up like that. If there's hair, it'll only let it go a little bit. Make sure the switch feels good. Put your cord back on, put your bell back on in case you want to hang your clipper. So I usually put a little grease in here just to help that bearing spin a little easier. So there it is, there's the switch and everything. I wouldn't use a big drill like this because you'll bust the housing. So I got that little bitty drill. Alright, now if you got a latch on your hinge, that means you're a newer AGC, or AG. So basically how you can tell is it'll have a little gap in the housing. That means you can put a latch on. But if you do, make sure you have this plate, because then it'll hit this drive and it will run pretty slow, or it'll make a lot of noise. So you put it in. Be careful when you're tightening your hinge. A lot of people do this. See? There, that's an example. See how it's stripped out? That means I would have to replace the front motor frame. But I'm not worried about it on my clipper. So you want it to basically take a screwdriver, you feel it stop, and then just turn it just a little bit. There you go, that's tight enough. I can fix that, but I don't really want to because it's my test clipper. When I get more clippers in here, I'll make more YouTube videos. It's just all my videos got erased, unfortunately. So there's one speed. There we go. Well, we'll try a test blade on it. Make sure you check your cords. Alright, well, thank you for joining me. I hope you had as much fun as I had. Have a good day. Bye.